Hello, it's day 183, and I want to talk about the Harvest Festival aftermath. Yesterday, after the 5K, I ended up in the town square drinking beer with my coworkers at 10 a.m. That was the kind of day it was. I feel like there was so much food at the Harvest Festival because food is one of the central pillars that the Harvest Festival is built on. They had the pancake breakfast. They had a pie baking contest where they sold pie afterwards. The German restaurant guys were out there making bratwurst on the grill. The Japanese restaurant guys brought their food truck. There was like every couple yards down the street you were finding a new vendor selling some kind of food. Food was huge. Food was everywhere. And I did end up overeating. But one of the things that I think that I'm starting to understand is that sometimes there are good reasons to overeat. And sometimes a good reason to overeat is wanting to overeat. See, if I had been on a really restrictive diet yesterday at the Harvest Festival, here's what would have happened. I would have whipped out my calorie counter at the vendor. I would have tried to type in, like, how many calories were in the thing that I was eating, but then I would have gotten frustrated because in a calorie counter, there is no entry for homemade bratwurst. There is no entry for Midwestern pie contest pie. I would have had to eyeball it. And at some point, I would have gotten pretty close to my calorie goal for the day, and I would have realized all of these numbers are bullshit. I'm just guesstimating. I'm just guessing how many calories I'm eating, and I don't actually know for anything. And that alone would have triggered a binge. I would have binged yesterday way beyond what I actually ended up eating if I had been trying to restrict. It's so counterintuitive. But yesterday, even though I did overeat, it did not feel like a binge at all. I ended up overeating by maybe, like, if I had to estimate calories, I would say I overate by about 600 calories more than I probably should have eaten with, like, just daily baseline metabolism and having run that 5K. So I probably went about 600 to 800, maybe even 1,000 calories over. But eating at the Harvest Festival is one of those things you do. I think if I had tried to stop myself, it would have been a whole lot worse than it ended up being. And today, I'm really no worse for the wear. Like, yeah, my weight went up a little bit, but, I'm gonna be, like, today I didn't eat all that much because I wasn't that hungry. I was still eating pie that was left over from the Harvest Festival. But you get my idea. Tomorrow, I'm gonna just be right back on that horse. I'm just gonna be right back on the intuitive eating thing. Intuitive eating doesn't mean restricting yourself. It doesn't mean trying to be perfect every single day. It means eating intuitively. Yesterday, I wanted the weird little Japanese rice ball. I wanted that thing. So I bought it. I bought myself one. If I had been trying to tell myself no, definitely not, I would have walked past that food truck 10 or 15 times trying to resist until eventually my willpower would have worn down and I would have bought like 3 or 4 of them. For lack of better words, I think that I'm ready now. I think that I'm ready to accept that some days I will overeat, and some days I might even undereat, and some days I will want avocados, and other days I'll want a brownie. Like, looking at it intuitively, looking at it as an instinct rather than as something that is good or bad or something I should or shouldn't do, not only is it freeing, but it's also very natural. It's a very natural feeling to walk past the Japanese truck and want a rice ball. It's very natural. Like, even drinking beer at 10 a.m., I think on some days it is appropriate. Yesterday it was appropriate. So I'm looking forward to training for my next 5K. I'm looking forward to seeing where intuitive eating is going to bring me in the next couple weeks because I feel like I'm getting better.